escape from comfort. Most people want to escape to comfort. He has been on a journey since before we met, during us, and since we've parted ways in the same business. His story and what he's been able to accomplish, and more importantly, what he's been able to help others accomplish.
I was born in Iran, and when I was 15 years old, my parents decided to send me and my brother out of Iran by escaping from Iran. And we escaped across the borders, crossing the mountains, going over the mountains into Turkey. After a year whole process, we finally reached Sweden. That's where I grew up, because comfort is something we're seeking. But the point with comfort is that it can be that very cage that is holding us back. We become more or less numb by what is happening around us. So escape from comfort, it's demanding the person to literally escape. There is no plan B. There's no coming back. You gotta either do it or you're not gonna make it.
Now, as a certified speaker and coach, he's letting the world see what he's doing. He has a book coming out, Escape from Comfort, Journey to Happiness, Desire, and Fulfillment. And I thought it'd be extremely fitting to have him on the Agent War Room podcast, because everything he talks about directly correlates to what I've experienced in my personal business and coaching hundreds of agents at this point. So Said, let us know a little bit about you, man. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, Isaac. Yeah, I really appreciate you. Thanks for having me here. Be glad to share what I have got so far. So, a little bit quick about myself. I was born in Iran, and when I was 15 years old, my parents decided to send me and my brother out of Iran by escaping from Iran. And we escaped across the borders by crossing the mountains, going over the mountains into Turkey. And after a year of this whole process, we finally reached Sweden. That's where I grew up. And I pretty much lived by myself. I grew up by myself, took care of everything. And eventually I graduated from high school and entered university and wanted to become a scientist. So I got my PhD in biochemistry and continue to work from there. So that's a bit of my background, but a lot of things happened that brought me to become a real estate agent, that we can later talk about.
Awesome. Thanks so much, man. And I remember you sharing those stories, right? I remember sitting in the office with you talking about being you and your brother being chased by the dogs in the middle of the night and all these things. And so one of the things that caught my eye when I read the title, because I know how intentional you are, is escape from comfort. So like, what does that mean to you? Because I think I know what it means, but I want to know why is that the title of the book? And it seems almost like contrarian or counterintuitive. So to unpack that for me a little bit.
Absolutely. So yeah, you're absolutely right. It is counterintuitive, and that's the whole point, because comfort is something we're seeking. Everybody is looking for easier, comfortable life, and which a lot of people do deserve. I mean, we all deserve that. But the point with comfort is that it can be that very cage that is holding us back
Okay.
from reaching our highest potential. And we become more or less numb by what is happening around us, by external factors, by family situations, political, economical, financial, anything that can happen around us. Definitely self belief, limiting self belief, and also false beliefs, that I believe is the bigger problem there, is not allowing that person to really feel that what greatness they have within
Mm,
themselves. Escape from comfort is more than just leave your comfort zone. It's demanding the person to literally escape. There's no plan B. There's no coming back. You got to either do it or you're not going to make it. So you got to be all in. And that's why you have to be intentional about where you really want to go. What's your purpose?
Okay, so because so in that case, and this is me just trying to wrap my head around it, right? There might be somebody watching or listening, and they go, "Well, let me unpack that a little bit more. Maybe this." So in this case, like you can almost change the word out, comfort out for complacency. Is that kind of like
Absolutely.
a very okay? So again, I'm here to learn just as much. I'm here to like have you on the podcast. So the journey to happiness, desire, and fulfillment. What you're saying is like oftentimes those are synonyms for comfort, at least in my head, right? Like I'm looking for a place to be comfortable, but I think what you're really saying is it's the comfort of staying the same. It's the comfort of staying at the level at which you are, right? The term that comes to mind is fat and happy, right? Like,
Exactly.
hey, I'm fat and happy. I stashed all my stuff. Get all you can all you get, and then sit on the can, right? Like that's very much the hey, I'm gonna go get the job at the Fortune 500 company, do whatever I can to scrimp and save, and then sit on that for as long as possible, even though I might be capable of doing more. Am I on the right path with that thinking?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I can say that, when you're stay in that comfort area, it doesn't only mean that you have just exactly what you said, fat and happy, because you have accomplished something. And that is even the more dangerous place to be, because happiness is not really fulfillment, is not really a destination.
Hmm,
If you actually reach the destination, if you actually reach there, then it is not the purpose. The purpose is a pursuit. It's a journey. It's a never ending journey.
nice. Well, and it's funny because like if you see that little thing that popped up down the road or down at the bottom, right? I do these live. I don't do these post edit. The reason why is because I want to make sure one that I'm engaged in the conversation, but two, like did I get it right? So what I heard is my accomplishment might actually be more dangerous than failure because it's easy to stop pursuing at that point. Okay, I never really thought about
Exactly.
it that way, but it does make sense. Like the times where I've been the laziest is right after having had a lot of success. Right? Where I'm like, okay, like
Absolutely.
cool. The first time I made, multiple six figures, I was like, I guess I've made it, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
All right, now that we've got that concept, point blank, let's ruin the book real quick. How the heck do we escape from comfort? Like, what are the key components of doing that? So, what's unique about you is not just your journey and all these things. You're now a speaker. I know you were speaking at the Maxwell event last week when we were in Florida. I happened to be in Florida at the same time. Didn't get a chance to go see you speak, but I know you're able to be there. You got your keynotes that you do that you work with people. By the way, at the end of this, I'll give you a way if you're listening or watching this, a way to get in touch with Saeed. We're going to be having him as a keynote at some of our events, and so this is kind of my way of also getting to know that. But if you're interested, we'll give you his contact information here in just a few minutes. So the thing I think that's unique about you though is that you've also made you've also had success in real estate, and this is a real estate related podcast, so it's not always common that somebody who's going to speak to something that we need to hear about also has relevant real estate experience. So like if you can paint me a picture of what does it look like to escape from comfort, and if you can do your best to like also consider the audience, right, of real estate agents, team leaders, and brokers that are listening.
Absolutely. So how do we escape from that, from comfort, is we need to have clarity.
Okay.
I'm going to get to that, explain that. But first, I need to clarify that part, that when we are escaping, when we think of you got to be working hard, and we always talk about you have to have resilience,
Okay.
you have to be consistent, and you have to be courageous, and courage is not acting, is not being fearless, it's acting in spite of fear. So we all know that. But the problem is that when you still do all those things, and if it is not aligned with what you have within yourself, what your real big why is, then it's going to be bring you to even depression, like burnout, feeling guilty that you're not doing enough, or what is it that you're not happy about what you're doing.
Hmm.
I mean, for example, when I started in real estate, when I left science and started in real estate, that was the first time I was asked to about the question, what is your why?
Hmm.
I personally have never thought about that. It was something I knew since I was a kid I wanted to become a scientist, and I pursued that, but it was never brought to me or brought to my attention, or I thought about it that, hey, what is my purpose? What is my, thinking about it like really from that point of view. So when I heard it the first time in real estate, the first thing I thought about, yeah, it's my wife and my son.
Okay.
And that felt really strong and that felt great. Yeah, what else should it be? When I pursued that, and I was working hard, and I didn't know anything, but I went out door knocking hundreds and hundreds of doors, holding multiple open houses every week, cold calling hundreds and hundreds and hundreds people per week. So, and I became the rookie of the year. I gained levels in real estate. I made more money than I was making as an assistant professor. And that was all great, but I was getting tired. It was not that, I mean, the money was great, but I was getting tired from it. It was so much pushing. It was constantly this push without a satisfaction. And it caused me to look for, okay, what I need to do to have more satisfaction, or to have the real satisfaction. And it was that, well, I need to make more money then in that case.
Hmm.
And that's when I started to look for other venues as well, or not that I was looking, but this so-called opportunity came into my lap, and that became my biggest fall.
Hmm.
So reflecting on all that, I found out that when I was a scientist, I actually knew what my why was. And when I was a scientist, when I was a PhD student, I was a single person. I wasn't married, I didn't have a kid. So I already had a why before I had a wife, before I had a son.
Hmm.
And that made me going strong, even though I was not making any money. Like, I was getting stipends and low payments, and but I was still working 10, 12 hours a day without even feeling tired. I was working 7 days a week for months in a row, and I loved everything about it.
Hmm.
So why couldn't I put that together with real estate? Why couldn't I bring that into real estate? It was because I had completely disconnected myself from the real why.
Okay.
And the real why is not that I wanted to become a scientist, is why I want to become a scientist. So when I was asked the question, hey, in real estate, Said, why do you do real estate? I was answering the why question, but not real estate question. Because I could do my wife and my son. I was already doing great for them when I was a scientist. So what made me change? Does it make sense?
Yeah.
And when I look back at it, when I after the biggest fall I had in my life, I started to really dig deep. I found that I wanted to become a scientist because I always had these Albert Einstein or Marie Curie and these giants, these geniuses as my heroes.
Hmm.
I wanted to become like them. And the reason I wanted to become like them, because to me, they were immortals. Whatever they did still exists today. They never die.
Hmm.
And I wanted to do something similar.
Okay.
And I was too young to understand that that was basically my purpose. I had already found my purpose, that I wanted to do something big and significant for the world, for the humanity, something bigger than myself. And but I didn't understand. It was just like, yeah, I want to do this. And when I was doing that, I loved every minute of it.
Hmm.
But when I took my eyes off of that and I started to look for prestige and locations and things like that, then everything came off track. Getting a clarity on why, the big why, is the key. And again, if it is for me, it was like that. If it was what my wife and my son, that was not the real why. It was the why for why I want to make money. But the purpose, the calling that I had in myself, it was not there.
Yeah.
That was the disconnection. Needs to be
So
filled.
would it be safe to say then, because I typed it out real quick just to kind of see where it was going, and so would it be safe to say like when you went into real estate, you had all the courage, right? You had the
Yes.
ability to show up, face the rejection. I mean, I sat there and watched you do every Monday 100 conversations before you left the office. I remember that, right? We called it the Bold 100. Like you did that every Monday for like 3 months when you first joined the team, and you're
Yep.
right outside my office. I saw it. I saw it every day. So there was no question as to whether or not you had the courage. But what you're saying is the courage without the clarity creates burnout.
Yes.
Okay. And so when we go and talk about like what would somebody like yourself, like you're a coach, right? Like obviously you're going to give a great keynote, right? You gave versions of it right now. I'm sure you weave in your personal story with going and escaping Iran, everything there. Like that's like the inspirational type of like, yeah, I'm going to get up and do something with my day today stuff, which is great. But as a coach, like, and this is kind of the seat I'm hoping you sit in with me for the next 5 minutes or something, is like, okay, I'm there. I'm courageous, but I don't have clarity. What is somebody like you? Um, how are you going to help me break through that? Like what are kind of some of the mechanisms, the exercises, the philosophy, the mindset that I might need to adopt, or disciplines that I might need to adopt that you would recommend to help me navigate through what I like? You actually already started. Step one is I now realize if I'm in a state of burnout, I probably lack clarity. Where do I go from there? Like how do you help someone like me from there?
Yeah, absolutely. So clarity is actually, it's not just where we're going. It has three parts.
Okay.
Where we're going is one of them.
Okay.
Then it's about how we get there. First, we identify the big why that is going to pull us. It's going to have that strong effect to, so that we are drawn to it. We don't need to push towards. We are drawn to it, and that makes the whole thing easier in a way. We're still going to have obstacles. We're still going to have problems in a way, but it's not going to be painful. It's not going to be. We can embrace that pain because we know why we are doing it. The second part of the clarity is understanding, not just go, 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 but really stop and pause and reflect. It's like, as a scientist, when I was doing experiments, it was not just doing one experiment after the other. It was doing an experiment and then understanding what's going on, looking at the result, analyzing it, set up a next experiment based on that. And then after some time, you get that pattern that, okay, these are the things that will always cause the experiment to go bad. And so then you eliminate those. So that you need to have that clarity. That's the second part of the clarity, to reflect and be aware of the mistakes that you're making, and also what parts that you're good at, what parts that makes you that works better. The third part becomes that part that you have to, it's almost, and it's not in a sequence, by the way. It's not like first,
Mm.
second, but it's just
Okay.
they're interconnected.
Yeah.
The third part is personal growth, like being intentional to work on yourself, to grow. Because when we work on ourselves and grow, now we expand our mindset. Now new things become open to our mind, which again bring a new level of clarity, which bring a new level of purpose, makes that even more brighter. And then when we do things, when we reflect and look back at those, has this helped me to get there or not? And knowing when to quit, knowing what to let go. It's not just about going, going, going. Yes, exactly. Where, how, and personal development. It would be almost like what? What do you need to do? What do you need to have in order to get that? And those are the personal development. Um, and one last thing is, coaching is basically, it's not about, you know, waving a magic wand or anything like that. Basically, it's all about helping the person realizing, first of all, where they are, and then also for the person where they want to be. Again, it's their answers, it's their goals, and helping them to get from where they are to where they want to be.
That makes sense. And so what you're and let me unpack this too. So like in a real estate world, I'm like, hey, I want to be a team leader. That's where I want to end up. I want to run a team, pour into agents, all this stuff because I want to make a big impact. So that's where I want to be. The how is okay. I'm going to have to like build systems and recruit to this model and build a training, you know, program or something like that. And then what you're saying essentially is from there, most people just get to work, right? But the missing component, it sounds like, is okay, now I need to develop in those areas. I need to develop as a leader. I need to develop as a recruiter. I need to develop as a public speaker. I need to develop as an operations manager. I need to develop as somebody who documents all of my processes along the way. To me, that's also a component of like, and tell me how far I'm off on this, because the way that I kind of see it is like it's essentially like a shift in your identity to align with where you like who you have to be in order to such that like the how becomes natural. Somebody who grew up playing sports who in their head believes they're an athlete has a much easier time getting back into working out and getting back into shape than somebody who doesn't see that as part of who they are,
Mm.
right? So like me, when I decide like, you know what, I'm gonna get in killer shape again, I know exactly what it takes, right? And I already have the mind because I grew up playing sports my whole life. Right? I used to run multiple gyms. That like, okay, I'm gonna do that, and that's just kind of part of my identity. But I guess what you're saying is like when you are embarking on something new, there's like an identity shift, right? That has to happen. And the only way you're going to shift your identity in any meaningful way is personal development.
Yes.
Okay.
It may not even be a shift, but at least it's going to be awareness. Knowing we know what we know and we don't know what we don't know. And being aware of those things. And while you're developing yourself, you get to know things that you didn't know and like, wow. And when you know the new things, it will help you to again gain more clarity of what is it that I really want to be, why do I want to become a team leader? Yes, I want to make an impact, but how am I going to, like, what does it really mean? and and really dig, the more we dig deep, it becomes better. We just, it's not about building high, it's really about digging deep.
Yeah.
It's all within ourselves.
So, and the reason why I like ask the way that I ask or say the things that I say is because like I'm trying to wrap my head around it too. I'm also trying to help people in the audience recognize like, is this dude somebody that I should be reaching out to learn more about how I can accomplish and achieve bigger and better things inside my personal life, inside my business? What I'm also hearing is that there is a framework to this, right? Because I think we all kind of stumble across ways to get better, but we're not intentional. We don't follow like a roadmap, or we don't have guidelines, or we don't have a defined process of how to go from where we're at and develop courage and understand that we need the clarity to, keep us going through the courageous times. Right. And then the three components of clarity, like it sounds like there's an actual format that you follow to help your clients get through all this. Is that right? Like you don't have to go through it right
Yes.
now, but I'm just confirming that.
Oh, absolutely,
Cool.
absolutely. It's a, yeah, it's a simple proven process, very effective.
Kind of ending, right? Coming in for a landing here is this define for me maybe the real estate agent, team leader, or broker who's watching or listening to this who probably should reach out to you. Like, what is that person? What's the situation they're in? What are they feeling? Like, in your experience, who are the people that reach out to you and get the most value out of partnering with you?
Simply they feel stuck. Can be in any parts of areas in their lives and or their business or family, anything that, but they feel stuck and they feel unhappy. They have everything that somebody else from outside may look at and feel like, oh my god, you're the luckiest person in the world, but
Mhm.
they're not. They don't have that satisfaction. They have, they're looking for other things, but it's not satisfying. It's kind of like that person that has this pain, and instead of going like identifying where the pain is and really work on that, is just taking drugs,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
pain doesn't go away. It's just the symptoms may go away for a minute, but it will come back.
So here's I'm gonna go out on a limb. Tell me if I'm wrong, and then we'll get them your contact information and wrap it up. But tell me if I'm describing the right person. Real estate agent who sells real estate, that is like, you know what else I'm going to do? Amazon dropshipping. And then I'm going to build a faceless YouTube channel. And then I'm going to start doing, is it that person that's like constantly chasing these little things because they're like avoiding the personal development work to get to that next level in real estate? Is that kind of what is like, because that's immediately what came to my mind.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Perfect. So, all right, here's my call to everybody watching this and listening to this. Obviously, there's a ton of experience. Obviously, there's a ton of framework here that Said can walk you through and help you. If you're going to do something, there's keynote speeches and coaching, right? Is kind
Yes.
of what you do really well. Awesome. So I already know that we're going to have you as a keynote speaker multiple times, probably at least twice before the end of the year, and then kind of go
Sounds
from
great.
there. But if someone wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
It is the best way right now is reaching by via email. And it's very simple. I know it's not a very simple last name, but Said at saideshaghi.com. Yes, that's the easiest way to reach out.
Perfect. And is there anything, any pre-qualifications they need? Do they need to have a big business? Can they just be getting started? Like, what does that look like?
No, not at all. Anybody is welcome because problems are not big or small. It is in regards to how we are. Like a big problem for one person cannot look as big, and a small problem for another person can not look small.
Yeah, my 8-year-old
So
freaked out the other day because he didn't have his baseball glove for pitching practice. I was like,
there you go.
wasn't even a game, right? I don't even know if you need a glove to pitch a ball, right? So he used my glove and got through it just fine. But you would have thought the world was going to end. So yeah, I think you're right. That is actually a good thing. Like it mattered to him though. It was a
Yes,
stressor on him. And as a matter of fact, I had to go back in my memory when I was playing sports. And if I were late or missing equipment, yeah, I'd kind of freak out too. Right. So that makes a lot of
exactly.
sense. So if you
Exactly.
are stuck, and by the way, I look at stuck as two things. You're failing at the thing you want to do, or you're succeeding at the thing you want to do, but you want to take it to the next level. That's still stuck, right? So
Yeah.
if you are in either of those situations, I'm not getting the results that I want, or I'm getting great results, but I'd like to take it to that next level. Saeed is the person you want to reach out. Saeed at saideshaghi.com. Reach out to him right away. If you're a real estate agent, broker, team leader, and you're looking for business partners that are having these higher level conversations, Agent War Room is where you want to go. It's a podcast we developed that actually sits on top of this platform called Real Estate CEOs. If you haven't heard about Real Estate CEOs, you can check us out on YouTube. You can follow us on Instagram, or you can reach out to me directly. Okay. My name again, Isaac Guzman, Real Estate CEOs powered by LPT Realty. Make sure you reach out. All of our contact information is in the show notes. So thanks so much, man, for taking the time and sharing your journey, sharing your superpower, and also making yourself available to the audience. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate you. And this was great. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely.